Lately, I've been paying a lot of attention to something that honestly feels a bit uncomfortable to think about. Everywhere where I look, the ultra rich already own everything. The land, the real estate, the stocks, the businesses, the resources. And now I'm seeing signs they're quietly moving into the last asset they don't fully control yet. And that's Bitcoin. Once they get it, I believe the door is going to slam shut. And if history repeats itself, it won't open again for regular people. I'm not saying this to hype fear. I'm saying it because I've watched the same pattern play out in other markets before. So in this video, I'm going to share the patterns I've seen the rich use to corner valuable assets, why I think Bitcoin is the next, what I think happens when they control most of the supply, and exactly what I'm doing right now so I'm not left on the outside. This is just my personal approach. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. I'm not telling anyone what to do, just showing you the steps I've decided to take after years of watching how wealth moves. Now, something I've noticed over and over, rich don't just earn money and leave it in the bank. They convert it into assets, especially assets that generate more money. They own land that produces rent, stocks that pay dividends, businesses that spin off cash flow, commodities that hold value when everything else is losing. And here's the key, they hold them for decades. We've seen this play out in real estate. In the 70s or 80s, a home was affordable for an average working family. Now, in many cities, a home cost 8 to 12 times the average salary. We've seen it in stock market. In the 80s, you could buy growing companies at fair valuations. Now the market is dominated by trillion-dollar giants the rich bought into a decade ago and never let go. This is how wealth equality widens. Owners keep owning, renters keep paying, and that's why I'm looking at Bitcoin right now, because I believe it's about to go through the same cycle. Now, when I compare Bitcoin to every other asset class, I see a list of features that make it almost tailor-made for the ultra-rich. Scarcity, only 21 million coins will ever exist. Portability, I can move it across the world in minutes. Self-custody, I can store it without relying on a bank or custodian. Global acceptance, it trades 24/7 across borders. Divisibility, I don't need a whole coin. I can own a fraction of it. If I were sitting on billions and looking for a way to protect that wealth for the next century, Bitcoin would be on the top of my radar. And here's the thing, if they decide to move in, they're not going to announce it on the news. They're going to do it quietly while the rest of us are distracted. Now, here are the signs I'm already noticing. 1. Spot ETFs buying huge amounts. On some days, ETFs are buying more Bitcoin than miners produce. That means they are literally pulling coins out of circulation faster than new ones are coming in. Family offices building positions quietly. These are private investment arms of ultra wealthy families. They don't make noise, they just allocate and hold. Third one, over-the-counter deals off the public radar. Some of the biggest Bitcoin purchases never hit an exchange order book. They happen in private over-the-counter trades, so the market doesn't even see it. Countries are also experiencing with Bitcoin. Smaller nations are already buying, and others are studying it closely. This tells me the accumulation phase is already in progress. If they treat Bitcoin the same way they treat prime real estate, here is how I see it play out. They don't sell it, they use it as collateral to borrow cheap money. They rent access to it through financial products. They hold it for generations. Meanwhile, the average person can only use Bitcoin through a bank or fund and never truly holding the keys themselves. In a world where Bitcoin is $5 million a coin, even 0.01 BTC becomes a serious status symbol. That's not a prediction. I want to be looking back on wishing I would act sooner. Here is my personal approach right now. I've set up an automatic weekly Bitcoin buy that happens no matter what the price is. Most of what I buy gets moved into cold storage, my own hardware wallet, so no one else can touch it. I keep my Bitcoin split into two groups, my core stack, which I never plan to sell, and my flex stack, which I can use if I need to. I've taken price tracking off my phone, so not making emotional decisions every time the market moves. I think in satoshis, not whole coins. My target is set. Every week I'm getting closer. This keeps me consistent. It takes the emotion out of it, and it means that every week I'm building my position before the richest people on planet make it nearly impossible. I don't see my core Bitcoin as something I'll ever fully cash out. I see it as generational wealth that I can pass on. Collateral I can use one day if I want to buy real assets without selling. Insurance against a currency collapse or government overreach. Look, my goal isn't to time the top. My goal is to make sure I have my share before ownership gets concentrated. I used to think I'll wait for the dip, but here's what I've learned. When Bitcoin dips hard, it's usually during fear and chaos, and that's when it's hardest to buy. And sometimes it doesn't dip much at all before running higher. So instead of waiting, I just buy every week. In 10 years, I won't care whether I bought at 115,000 or 125,000. I will care that I bought. For me, the biggest risk isn't Bitcoin going down. It's the rich locking up most of the supply and me not having any when that happens. Once they control it, they'll do exactly what they've done with every other scarce asset. Turn it into something you have to rent from them instead of owning it yourself. I'm not okay with that. I don't know exactly when the shift will happen, but I do know that the ultra rich have a pattern. They get scarce assets early, they hold them forever, and they make the rest of us fight over what's left. That's why I'm stacking now, calmly, quietly, and consistently. Because when the headlines finally say billionaires keep buying Bitcoin, I want to be on the side of ownership, not on the outside looking in.